afternoon. It's Thursday, the 9th of April. I'm Elaine Abdullah.
And I'm Jared Ratnam, and today's show, we've got something very special for you, yeah?
That's right. We'll be speaking to Fong Chung Fook, a cybersecurity veteran on cybersecurity in the time of Covid-19.
And also, if time permits, we'll open the phone lines to you to get your views on the MCO, working from home, and other pertinent issues that we're navigating as we move through the MCO. So we'll give you the numbers in a short while, but we'll get to something more important now, yeah?
That's right. In our first story, we are talking about red zones. The Kuantan district in Pahang is now a red zone. It's a COVID-19 hotspot where at least 41 cases, Gerard, have been recorded, while the Lembah Pantai district in Kuala Lumpur continued its run uninterrupted as Malaysia's top COVID-19 red zone for the 6th consecutive day. The latest data released today by the Health Ministry shows not one that you want to top the list on.
Yeah, of course. Now, with the addition of Kuantan, there are now 24 districts in Malaysia that are red zones or in most severe category for COVID-19 cases as of April 8th or noon of April 8th, while Selangor is the first state in Malaysia to cross the 1,000 mark in terms of COVID-19 cases recorded and currently has the highest number of cases among all the states and federal territories at 1,078 cases. This state is not the one with the top red zone in the country.
That's right. Now, let's look at the death toll. The death toll in Malaysia from COVID-19 cases currently stands at 65, so it has increased from the day before.
Right. Well, while we're moving about trying to find out things that are unknown to us, of course, the fear of the unknown is always something that we are anxious about. And I guess the MCO and how we're going to move forward as a community, as a society, is going to bring about a lot of thought. And one area that needs a lot of thinking on is cybersecurity at this point. Yeah,
that's right. So the security issues that we will be discussing shortly with our expert, the security issues that surrounded, of course, the past week we've heard a lot of stories about people going on video conferencing. Zoom has made a name, not necessarily for the right reasons at this point of time. There's, of course, the security issues surrounding Zoom video conferencing platform for the past week are not deemed serious, apparently, and have been addressed accordingly by the company.
Now, the issues were acknowledged by Zoom CEO Eric Yuan in the company's blog.zoom.us, and the US-based company has since been taking all the necessary measures to overcome them. Now, earlier, it was apparently reported that some loopholes in the video conferencing platform had allowed for people, or hackers to be exacting, to join a video meeting uninvited and potentially access files or information shared during a meeting or various meetings, which apparently has brought about worries among users.
So when the CEO says that, you know, they are taking necessary measures, I'm wondering what those measures are going to be, you know. So this has, of course, resulted in an increase in Zoom domain name registrations since people started self-quarantining to combat the virus. Aside from posting apparently offensive content, there have been reports of people joining open Zoom meetings and sharing malicious files and web links. So we're talking to our experts to weigh in on this.
So now, having said that, when they say they're taking necessary measures, sometimes it's just we don't have a clue. We're still working on it.
Exactly.
Buying time, innit?
So they actually said that they're using the next 90 days to figure out a solution. So in the meantime, the question is, are you still going to use that platform and risk yourself? So we talked to a cybersecurity expert to ask those pertinent questions. We have migrated all in a hurry. So we're talking about the topic of cybersecurity in the time of COVID-19.
Well, today we tackle the much overlooked and undervalued field of cybersecurity, which the COVID-19 pandemic has put front and center as it locks people in homes and even forces corporations and businesses to leave their secure networks as employees work from home en masse globally. Now, while the world is focused on the health and economic threats posed by COVID-19, cyber criminals around the world are undoubtedly are capitalizing on this crisis. Now, joining us via Skype today is...
That's right. We'll be speaking to Fong Chung Fook, a cybersecurity veteran. Just wanted to give you a bit of a background. He was awarded as the 2017 Cybersecurity Professional of the Year by Cybersecurity Malaysia. Mr. Fong Chung Fook is a 20-year veteran in the specialized and highly demanding arena of information security. He apparently is also the author of PECB's Certified Lead Forensic Examiner Training course. This is being taught around the world.
Right.
And we welcome him onto the show via Skype. Hello and welcome to the Nation Updates, Fong. Can you hear us here in the studio?
Hi, good afternoon. I can hear you well.
Thank you for joining us, Fong. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Now, let's dive straight into this incredibly relevant topic, Fong. Another unseen enemy that has wreaked havoc on already strained populations. Now, earlier this week, as millions around the world marooned themselves within their own homes, businesses and workers alike reached for the easiest and most available solutions to keep themselves connected and to continue operations. Of course, we mentioned about Zoom earlier. Zoom, the app, within the month of March alone, saw an increase of about 200 million users from a mere 10 million the previous month, in the process, of course, exposing its security weaknesses. Zoom bombing is now a word, as hijackers and hackers alike infiltrate unprotected users and unprotected usage. Now, Fong, this is the first question. First of all, let's talk about Zoom. To Zoom or not to Zoom? Your take, Fong?
I think this is thank you, Elaine. I think this is $1 million question everyone is asking right now. To Zoom or not to Zoom, right? So I have been following the Zoom issue since the very beginning. You're right about the surge of usage. And when certain software get a popularity like that, right? So inevitably there will be a lot of unknown vulnerabilities that get discovered, which happened to Zoom. So to cut it short, for me, I'm still using Zoom. You just have to make sure that I can also see that Zoom has been releasing a lot of patches, a lot of frequent updates on their software. But common users, I mean, not everyone is IT savvy. So that's the thing. We may not have the most updated version of Zoom installed on our computers or installed on our phone. So some of the versions that's running on our phone and our computers may still be outdated, may not be updated with new fixes. So for casual users, I would suggest that you just put on hold first. Maybe use some other software because there's so many other options available out there. There are Google Meets, there are Microsoft Team, there's so many others. So if you're really, really concerned about the security and you have no idea how to update your software and you may not be IT savvy to know whether the software is updated or not, I would suggest the easy way out is just to use some other software for now. But personally, from my perspective, is I have been seeing a lot of frequent updates on Zoom, and some of our customers are still using Zoom.
Okay, so right now your take is you can continue to Zoom if you're confident, but if you're not and you're not as savvy, perhaps hold off for a while. Don't Zoom yet. Use perhaps alternative methods of video conferencing. That's what we're doing right now. Skype as well. We can always communicate on Skype, and therefore wait for more patches. Make sure it's the most updated one, right? So next, let's go to the next.
To be a more stable version to be released. Because I see that there's a lot of frequent updates happening right now. So for people who are really concerned about security, who really, too panic about security, I guess you can just use some other software first.
Okay, now next question. How can remote workers, because right now you can see a whole bunch of the whole country, of course, those who are not in essential services are working from home. And globally, most countries have also instituted the same kind of movement control order and working from home. So how can remote users as well as remote workers and home users better protect themselves in this kind of scenario?
So that's a very good question because I believe a lot of people will be keen to know this. I've actually summarized the points into 3 points. So the first thing we need to do when we are remote working is to check our connectivity. We have to I guess a lot of people are already using Wi-Fi. So first of all, we have to make sure that your connectivities are secure. So make sure your Wi-Fi is protected with encryption. Use the WPA tool, protect your Wi-Fi. Make sure that Wi-Fi has a password associated with the Wi-Fi access point. And don't use public Wi-Fi or don't use your neighbor's Wi-Fi, right? Just to be sure that you know where are you connecting to. The second point that I would like to update is to make sure all of your devices, your computer devices, your mobile phone, your tablets are up to date with the system patches. Whatever there's any system patch release, I think you should be the first thing you do to update the system, make sure it's secure. The third thing is also we have to watch out for emails, because now we have seen a tremendous exponential growth of email spam, phishing attacks coming into the consumer space, because everyone is working from home. So now we see a surge of email spam, phishing mails coming in. And a lot of these emails having a very enticing content. For example, some emails have a subject like COVID-19 cure or a tax refund or something like that. So a basic principle applies. Don't simply open any unsuspicious, unknown email or suspicious attachments, and don't click on any links. And if you're in doubt, just check with the authority first. So these are the 3 points I would suggest, strongly recommend all remote users to follow. Keep your connectivity secure, right? If you have a VPN, virtual private network software, use VPN, ensure Wi-Fi with password. The second point is make sure your systems, your tablets, your phones all are updated with system patches. Then the third one is watch out for those phishing emails.
All right, thanks for those warnings. Now, third, as you can see, the MCO and of course the COVID-19 has slowed down the economy, not just in Malaysia, around the world. So what can cash-strapped businesses who are already suffering right now find ways to manage these cybersecurity challenges if they can't afford additional cybersecurity expenditure at this point of time?
Yeah, I would say let's look at the threat first. What are the threats currently faced by the businesses? Number one are hackers. And hackers today, they do not simply just pick and select who are the people they want to attack. Everything is automated. So basically, it means also one thing. Every businesses and every individual are potentially a target. So when we know that at our side, the first number one threat is a hacker, so what we need to look for is the defense strategies. Now, in contrary to a lot of beliefs, right, defense strategy doesn't have to cost a lot. One of the best defense strategies is education. So what I would strongly suggest all business owners, even employees, pay more attention to latest cyber threats, cybersecurity news, get yourself educated, know what is phishing, what are the latest phishing tactics used by the hackers, subscribe to government news websites, and get yourself educated. So human is still the best defense against all these cyber threats, despite of we having all this firewall, antivirus, system patching. I would say a lot of time we actually overlook the most important element, which is human.
Okay, so seems like a simple fix, the human solution, which sometimes is, of course, the most difficult one to be able to turn around. Educate ourselves and subscribe to websites, keep ourselves updated, and keep the workforce also updated along with it. Now, in the work you are doing now on cybersecurity, what are the threats that you are seeing surfacing in this global pandemic?
Yeah, because in our line of work, we are actively looking at cyber threats, looking at cyber intelligence, and also from our customers, we also conduct computer crime investigation and digital forensics. Some of the trend that what we are seeing right now is a high surge of phishing email attacks. So you will be expecting to see a lot of websites, a lot of emails suddenly pops up and has something to do with the pandemic, number one, and also has something to do with the government relief packages, some government announcement. So a lot of these fake website, fake email addresses, emails tend to trick the user to interact with the hackers. So when you receive an email, for example, telling you that you can get a tax refund or can get a stimulus package, auto renewal, whatever, ask you to fill up some forms, you just have to pay extra attention to these kind of emails. And if any websites that doesn't seem right, for example, if you go to a website, it doesn't have a tiny log there, the SSL certificate, it doesn't have, it has a lot of grammar mistakes, it doesn't look official, do not submit any sensitive information over to the website. The best thing is, when you're in doubt, always check with the authority, go to the authority website to check. Don't submit any personal or confidential company information to any forms. Just earlier today, we also received a news that someone pretend to be one of the government authority to request SME to submit their company details through a Google form. So a lot of these things are happening right now.
Okay, Fong, I think you also answered my fifth question because I wanted to raise that almost $1 million have been reportedly lost on COVID-19 related scams. This was in the UK. In the US, that figure is US 5 million or more. One victim in the UK apparently paid £15,000 for masks that never arrived. In Malaysia, we heard of a similar story where there was a report of 54,000 ringgit lost in the same manner. So you have shared with us some tips for us to not fall victim to those kind of scams. Now, next question. This is not just a personal threat like you see those scams go to individuals. Cybersecurity is a serious threat which affects critical functions, governments, countries. With desperately stretched health resources already, we have now been shown how vulnerable modern society is to cybercrime attacks. Now, we heard of a story of Brno University Hospital, a key COVID-19 testing site in the Czech Republic, was one of the first medical facilities. They were forced to turn away patients suffering serious conditions and postpone surgeries as the hospital endured a cyber attack that downed their computer systems. Even WHO was not spared. A sophisticated attack on WHO was identified in early March. And there was a ransomware group which published personal details of thousands of former patients of the Hammersmith Medicine Research HMR in UK, which was also one of those that are fighting to test vaccine trials for COVID-19 because they refused to pay ransom. This all have crippling consequences to rescue and life-saving work. So how can the global cybersecurity community, with your collective expertise and skill sets, how are you able to help with this fight?
Well, I think you brought out a very important point because the same incidents, similar incidents has happened back in 2017. If you can still remember, there was an attack called WannaCry ransomware back then. And it also crippled the healthcare system in the UK, public transportation system in Europe, and critical national infrastructure in the US as well. So it's a similar kind of attack. And the question is, why are we still not learning? You see, because there's one thing we all have to realize and accept the fact that cybersecurity is no longer an IT issue. Cybersecurity today is everyone's issue. It's everyone's responsibility. It's no longer a department of IT is responsible for. So once we recognize that that is part of our very own responsibility, then we can start to work on the strategies. So number one of the strategies of all the cybersecurity communities should be doing, I suppose, is to create more awareness and education, provide education systems to the general public. Because you have to put into this perspective, because nowadays everyone is online, including some who are not IT savvy, who are just maybe at a very senior age, they may be new to the internet. These are the folks that are easily get tricked and scammed and get attacked, cyber attacks. So we have to put in a lot of effort. I think the number one effort as a cybersecurity communities is to do a lot of awareness, create awareness, send out the right information out to the public, and of course to continue to educate the public, putting complex technical terms into simple, easy to understand concepts. I think that's what cybersecurity community should be doing that right now.
Okay, Fong, one last question. What needs to change now? We're talking about awareness, but how do we change mindsets and conversations concerning cybersecurity? We're talking about policymakers within governments, businesses, and individuals that depend so much on the digital world. How do we move in that direction?
This is a very big question. I would say what we need to change is starting from individual. Everyone needs to recognize this. Information security, cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. For the last 1 week, and I've been receiving a lot of news. For one example, recently there's a news circulating saying that Zoom software has something to do with one of the banks hacking incident, auto debit incidents, which is untrue. So how do we know that when some information being forwarded to us are true or untrue? And in order to do this, we have to make sure that every time when we receive certain information, we have to stop, think, analyze before we forward out to somebody else. Now, if we can do this very simple step, right, we are already contributing help to stop the major panicking. Now, back to the questions, what do we need to change, right? Number one, like I said before, the mindset have to change. We have
digital age, but it looks like COVID-19 will prove to be the ultimate digital accelerant. Thank you so much, Fong. We'll be coming back with some more messages. We'll take a short breather right now. We will have some interesting stories to share with you. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hi there, thanks for staying with us on the Nation Updates. You're still with me, Elaine Notda, as well as Ratnam. Unfortunately, we won't be taking any calls today.
Yeah, we've run out of time. It was quite a lot to digest from that interview you had just now. You know, just learning about cybersecurity alone, there's just so much for us to understand, especially Fadidadis like me, you know, where...
It's very simple. I just wrap it in a summary. Stop, think, analyze before you actually do anything.
And stop, think, analyze before you actually do anything. You know,
so whether you're forwarding messages,
as succinct
whether you're
and
opening an
simple
email,
as it is, it's tough to do. It really is.
3 steps. Stop, think, analyze. All right?
Well, speaking of which, someone who's not been analyzing what he says too much is apparently the President of the United States of America. And
of course, he's making headlines for all the wrong reasons,
right.
and he is great at doing that. Now we bring you this story in a heartfelt plea for unity. We are all in this together, really, globally. The World Health Organization's chief sought to rise above sharp criticism and threats of funding cuts from US President Donald Trump over the agency's response to the coronavirus outbreak.
Now, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, an Ethiopian and the WHO's first African leader, projected humility and tried to minimize his personal role while denouncing invective and even racist slurs against him amid WHO's response to the disease.
That's right. Now, Ghebreyesus dodged questions about US President Donald Trump's comment a day earlier, but stressed that his key focus was saving lives, not playing politics.
Now, he also stressed that the US had a long history of supporting global health initiatives across the political spectrum. Now, Trump on Tuesday accused WHO of being China-centric, or whatever that means, and criticized that its alleged missteps, notably faulting WHO recommendations against travel bans to help stop the spread. I don't know.
We have the video?
Yeah, if we have the video, we'll just roll the video.
Let's take a look.
Trump won't be the last.
Personally, I don't mind. I prefer to really focus on saving lives. I said it many times. We're losing people. Why would I care about being attacked when people are dying? Compare the two. We're losing lives every minute. Please remember, more than 60,000 deaths. I'm not sure if that number is accurate. I would expect that estimate that we have more deaths. Why would anyone in the right conscience think about his personal attack, ignoring the bigger challenge we're facing as humanity? My focus is saving lives. We don't do politics in WHO.
Yes, please go ahead. Sorry for this.
Well, there you heard him plea, heard his voice, heard his cry for help. You know, it's time we stop acting like children. And
Exactly. No, I mean...
I think that's wrong to say. I think children act better than we do. Yeah.
Yes, you're undermining children in that statement. Essentially, I think we really need to rise above, all our petty differences. We are fighting this as a human race. Above all, our humanity must rise to the fore. Right now, really, if we let any of that come in the way, we are done. As a species, we are fighting for our lives.
I also guess that this is taking its toll on us as a people, as a species, as humanity. We are being tested.
Yes, we are.
Right to the hilt, and I guess it's time for us to rise to the occasion and do what we have to do.
And they always say that strive always makes us stronger. So the tough. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. So let's get going. So thank you for staying with us to the end of the Nation Updates. We have had the pleasure of, had the expert interview on cybersecurity. Thank you, Gerard.
We'll be having more for you tomorrow. Elaine will be back on the airwaves, but stay with us all day. We've got more details coming your way, more updates coming your way. We've got a Mandarin bulletin coming up. We've got a Tamil bulletin coming up, an English bulletin coming up. We'll be covering all languages right here on Bernama TV. Stay tuned to the app.
Bye for now.
全力配合行动管制令。
Teman nasihatkan kepada Yop dan Yung.
Duduklah di rumah.
Tak usah pergi ngayak ngata lah.
Masaklah 10 kali pun.
Hampa janganlah duduk ketegak sangat.
Ibu kago nak pergi ke pasar.
Kok you ada bondo ponting, bondo mustahak nak bondo keluar tu?
Pastikan berseorangan dan hanya untuk membeli keperluan asas.
Tak payahlah berderu-deru satu bas, satu lori nak pergi belinya sebab yang bayar pun seorang itu juga.